Have you heard the news? Social Security payments are about to go up, and for millions of people, whether you're on SSA retirement benefits, SSDI, SSI, or even VA support, this could mean more money in your pocket. But the real question is, how much more are you actually going to see? Is this increase going to be enough to cover the rising cost of groceries, rent, gas, and medical bills? Or is it just going to feel like a small drop in the bucket while everything else keeps getting more expensive? And here's something else worth asking: why now? Why is this increase happening, and what does it say about the future of Social Security? Before we dive into the details, let me quickly remind you, if you care about updates like this, and you want to make sure you never miss out on important changes that could affect your benefits, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and turn on notifications. That way you'll always be in the loop, and you won't be left wondering what's happening to your benefits when changes roll out. Now, let's get into it. Whenever we hear the words Social Security increase, people's ears perk up, and for good reason. For many retirees, disabled workers, and low-income individuals relying on SSI, these benefits are the main source of income. Some people depend on Social Security for nearly every dollar they live on each month. So when there's talk about an increase, even a small one, it feels like a lifeline. But it also raises expectations, because people start to wonder whether this increase will finally match the reality of their living expenses. And that's the big story right now: how much more will you actually get, and will it truly make a difference in your daily life? One of the key things driving this increase is inflation. You don't need anyone to tell you that the cost of living has gone up dramatically over the past few years. Just walk into a grocery store and compare what you pay now for basics like eggs, milk, bread, or meat compared to what you were paying even just a couple of years ago. The difference is staggering. Gasoline prices have fluctuated wildly, utilities are higher, and medical costs, well, those almost never seem to go down. The government knows this, and that's why Social Security benefits are tied to something called the COLA, or Cost of Living Adjustment. Every year, the Social Security Administration looks at inflation numbers, measures them against the Consumer Price Index, and then determines how much benefits should go up so people aren't left completely behind. So the increase you're about to see isn't a random decision, it's a reflection of how much the cost of living has risen. And when you think about it that way, you realize that this isn't really a bonus or extra money. It's more like an adjustment to help you stay afloat in a world where prices just keep climbing. But of course, that doesn't stop people from asking the big question: will this increase actually be enough? Let's put this into real numbers. Imagine you're currently receiving $1,800 a month in Social Security retirement benefits. If the COLA increases, say, 3%, that would add about $54 to your monthly check. That means instead of $1,800, you'd now be getting $1,854. Over the course of a year, that adds up to $648 in extra income. Now, for some people, that sounds helpful. It might cover an extra utility bill, maybe it helps pay for a few more bags of groceries, or it could mean being able to afford a co-pay for a doctor's visit without as much stress. But for others, when they compare that increase to the reality of how much their costs have gone up, it feels almost negligible. If your rent alone has increased by $100 or $200 a month, then that extra $54 doesn't even cover the difference. That's where the frustration comes in. People see these announcements about Social Security increases and sometimes assume it's going to be life-changing. But when the actual dollar amount hits, many find themselves disappointed. And yet, even a small increase is better than nothing. Because without these COLA adjustments, you'd be stuck with the same benefit amount year after year while prices keep rising. In that case, you'd be falling behind even faster. Now, let's think about SSI beneficiaries, those on supplemental security income. These are some of the most vulnerable individuals in the country, many with little or no other income, and in many cases, they're living right at or below the poverty line. If your SSI benefit is around $943 a month, a similar percentage increase might only add about $28 or so to your monthly check. It doesn't sound like much, but again, it's something. For SSDI recipients, the story is similar. The increase depends on your current benefit amount, so those with higher monthly payments will see larger increases in dollars, while those with smaller checks will see less. But here's where things get interesting. This increase doesn't just affect one group. Retirees, disabled individuals, low-income SSI recipients, and even veterans with VA benefits connected to cost of living adjustments all stand to see some changes. The VA often aligns its increases with the Social Security COLA, which means veterans could also be looking at slightly bigger checks. For people who fall into multiple categories, like a veteran who also receives Social Security, this could mean a bit more breathing room across the board. Still, the core issue remains: the cost of living is rising faster than most benefit increases can keep up with. And that leaves many people asking questions like, why isn't Social Security keeping up better? Shouldn't the formula be changed? And what does this mean for the future? Those are big, complex questions, but they matter. Because if you're relying on these benefits, you need to know not just what's happening this year, but what you can expect in the years ahead. Think about this: Social Security was designed as a safety net, a guaranteed income stream for retirees and others who qualify. But it was never really meant to be the only source of income for most people. The problem is, in today's world, for a huge number of Americans, it has become exactly that: the primary or even sole source of support. That means every change, every adjustment, every increase or lack thereof, hits much harder than it might have decades ago. Back then, more people had pensions, more people had stronger savings, and Social Security was just one part of the puzzle. Today, for many, it's the entire puzzle. And that's why these increases make headlines. Because for millions, they aren't just numbers on paper, they're the difference between being able to pay the bills or not, being able to put food on the table or not, being able to buy medicine or not. Let me ask you this: what would an extra $50 or $100 a month mean for you personally? Would it ease your stress, or would it barely make a dent? Would you be able to breathe a little easier knowing you could cover an unexpected bill, or would it vanish the moment it arrived, swallowed up by rising costs? These are the human stories behind Social Security increases. It's not just about numbers, it's about people's lives. And this is why there's such a push for bigger reforms. Some advocates argue that COLA should be calculated differently, using an index that better reflects the spending habits of seniors, because older Americans often spend more on healthcare, prescription drugs, and housing than younger workers. If the formula accounted for that, the increases might be larger and more meaningful. But on the other hand, critics worry about the long-term financial stability of the Social Security program. They warn that bigger increases could strain the system, potentially leading to future shortfalls. This tug-of-war between providing enough support today and preserving the system for tomorrow is at the heart of the Social Security debate. And while politicians argue, real people wait and wonder, will my check be enough to live on? That's where you come in. Staying informed, knowing what's changing, and planning as best as you can with the information available, that's the smartest move you can make. Because while we can't control the formula or the economy, we can control how prepared we are for the changes that come. So here's the bottom line. Yes, Social Security, SSDI, SSI, and VA payments are set to increase. The exact amount depends on your current benefit level, but across the board, people will see a bump. It may not solve every problem, it may not feel as big as you'd hoped, but it's a step. And in today's economy, even a step forward is better than standing still. Now, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about this increase? Do you think it will actually help, or does it feel like too little compared to the rising costs you're facing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them, and I know your stories matter. And don't forget, if you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to know what's coming. Staying informed is one of the best tools we have in uncertain times, and together, we can make sure no one gets left behind when it comes to these crucial updates.